Ladies and gentlemen, today I have the pleasure to welcome Miss Noura Almasri. And we're going to talk today about the secret world of taxes and how the right tax expert can help individuals retain more of their hard-earned money. Miss Noura, thank you very much for joining me under the Human Rights Tree.
Sure. Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here with you today.
Usually, before I start talking about the topic, I ask people to tell me about themselves. Who is Miss Noura?
So, my name is Noura Almasri. I am a tax and accounting professional. I came from Syria in 2000, and I've been here in the United States for 25 years. I'm an enrolled agent with the an, IRS. That means that I took like 3 exams through the IRS on business tax law, individual tax law, and representation, so I can represent people in front of the administrative offices of the IRS. I do have my accounting practice, tax and accounting practice. I work with people nationwide to help them save their money, keep their money legally without getting themselves into a trouble, but yet keep their money so they can build their legacy, they can achieve their dreams. Um, I also have some courses for nonprofits, so people who are in nonprofit boards can benefit from these courses. I'm also a TV host at Now Media TV, my TV show called Echoes of Impact. So I'm a mom of two, single mom of two. So they're now growing,
Mm.
22 years old and 23 years old, successful young professional. So yeah, that's me.
So you emphasize it that you originally come from Syria. For
Correct.
the people who don't know Syria, can you tell us a little bit about that country?
Of course, Syria is a country in the Middle East next to Jordan and Turkey and Palestine. So Syria is a very small country, very rich of culture and love. There has been like a Syrian revolution started in 2011 uh, against the Assad regime, who has controlled Syria with the iron fist since the 70s, early 70s. So over 50 years of a dictatorship, the Syrian people were able to topple the regime and break through. And Syria was freed on last year, actually, December 8th, 2024. That was the best day of the Syrian people. We are now like looking forward to rebuild the country that was destroyed by the Assad regime. So, yeah, Syrians now, half of the Syrian population, sorry, so half of the Syrian population now across the globe, like in Europe and America and neighboring countries for Syria, everywhere in the world you can find Syrian people because they had to flee during the Assad regime.
I see. So you started school in Syria. How was
Correct.
it? How was it going to school? And did you always wanted to be a tax expert?
Never.
So,
So,
so how did you end up being a tax expert?
So, so I went to school in Syria in business administration. Then when I came
Okay.
here, I worked in tax. I worked in accounting, actually. I worked in accounting
Mm.
and corporate world. And then and when the Syrian revolution started in 2011, I shifted into the nonprofit world because I
Mm.
wanted to help people in Syria. And then after that, I went back to corporates until I actually started my tax and accounting firm in 2021. I'm an accountant, but I used to be really afraid of taxes. I have done a couple of taxes before, like for myself, for other people, but very in a very limited capacity, like the family people, like who wants needed help. So because I understand numbers, I understand how to read the tax law. So I was able to help them, but I never liked it. I used to be very afraid of taxes, like over intimidated, like a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I started my tax and accounting firm, and the goal was to have it as just bookkeeping firm. That's why it's called Noura's Books. Comes from bookkeeping.
Mm.
But I always like to learn. So when I started my business, I'm like, okay, let me start with a coaching program. So I joined the coaching program, and my coach at that time, I wanted to ask her a question. I started my question with, I'm only gonna do bookkeeping, and I don't wanna do taxes. And she said, like, why not? I'm like, why not? Let me try. If I didn't like it, if I feel like it's still intimidating, and I'm gonna stop. And I started doing taxes, and I got my um my enrolled agents designation, because they don't want you to call it certification, so designation. I loved it, and I enjoyed actually saving money for my clients. I like my favorite place, like where, okay, how can I save them money legally? Oh, will this rule applies to them? Can they qualify for this credit? Can they qualify for this strategy? So I loved doing taxes, saving taxes. Now, right now, like I'm focusing heavily on tax strategies, tax planning, because this is like a proactive approach. And I'm enjoying this so much. Like I saved my clients more than $1 million since I started my practice. So I enjoy this process because I don't want you to pay unnecessary taxes. Like when you pay taxes, you lose control of it. Of
Mm.
course, you still have to pay a certain, but you don't have to pay what you don't have to pay. So, like a lot of people, they pay what they don't have to pay, even when they think they are saving. So, there's always a way to keep more of your pockets if you plan early enough. So, if you want to save taxes when you're doing your taxes in 2026 for 2025, you have to start planning now. And people, a lot of people don't understand this world, because I don't blame them. This is why I do a lot of education
Mm.
about it, because I want people to know more about the financial world and the tax world, because this is like entering in everyday life of every American, everyone in the globe. Like,
I see. But if, for instance, somebody call himself or herself as a tax expert, what are the requirements you have to have? What kind of education you have to get that qualification?
So here is where the problem comes. Anyone can call themselves a tax expert without any
Okay.
qualification. That's the
Okay.
problem. Like you simply can go to the IRS website, get a BETA number, that's paid professional, paid preparer, and you get the EFIN number. That's simply the background check, so you can e-file taxes for people without any single education. And that's
Mm.
where the problem comes. Those people, they cost taxpayer a lot of money because they don't know anything. They simply do data entry, and taxes is not data entry. It might seem like it, but it's not.
Yeah.
So a lot of people doing it this way, and they are putting other people in trouble. They either like deduct things that are not okay to deduct for people, so they are putting them in trouble. They get audited. Have to pay now whatever they didn't pay before with penalty and interest. Or the other way is they don't take what they have to take in credit and deduction, and then they cost the taxpayer a lot of money just because they have no knowledge of taxes.
I see. My understanding is you were in the corporate world, and at certain point you decided you wanted to help members of your community or your family. What process? What are the process you took to become a tax expert? what education you felt that you needed to have to better help people in your community?
So in terms of taxes, what's I already have my bachelor degree from Syria at business information and business administration.
Okay.
So in Syria, when I went to school, it was like 3 years you go to business school, 3 years you study everything, including accounting, marketing, everything. And then the last year was the fourth year, you would focus on something. So I focused on management at that year.
Mm.
And then when I came here in 2005, I got into a master program in business information technology at DePaul. That's like a program between business and IT school. So I understood project management. I understood like how technology work. I even like understood like at that time HTML pages. I developed like the my project was developing a site about Syria, and then that's technically what I did. But you like you said, like you don't need to have all of that in
Mhm.
order to do taxes, but you at least have to study the tax law. You have to. I encourage everyone to become an enrolled agent. It's not hard. There's education out there to help you pass the exams. It's very relaxed. I did not know about that at that time about enrolled agent. I was aiming to get my CPA, and I even took one of my exams because they have to evaluate you first if you are qualified for CPA to take the CPA exam. And I was overqualified for that. I just had to sit for those exams. So I passed one of the exams, and then I let it expire because I was so busy in the business and everything. So my plan is to do it again, even though most of the people called everyone CPA just because they do taxes, but most of these people are not a CPA. Also, even if they are a CPA, it doesn't mean they do taxes or they are updated with the tax law, because like different CPAs do different stuff. So my goal is to become a CPA just because this is a personal goal for me and I wanted to have to do that so I'm able to do audit. That's the only thing you cannot do as a tax professional if you are not a CPA, to do audits, but you can do everything else. But if the tax professional is not continuously learning, they will be outdated. They will do a bad job with your taxes. They always have to be practicing. They always have to be updated with the tax law, reading those publication from the IRS, court cases, all of this, everything, keeping the education going in order to really can benefit the clients and make sure they give them the best they can do.
What CPS stand for?
Certified public accountants.
I see. Do you define taxes in the same way? Um, for instance, when we compare some in Syria, in your home country, and the United States, how you perceive taxes based on the location where you live?
So my belief is the governments everywhere, they want to enforce a behavior. So they design the tax law around this behavior. So for example, like when you are a business owner or even doing some freelance work, you get a lot of deductions. We can play with tax strategies a lot more than you are just on a W-2. Because government want to encourage like people to have small businesses because this is the foundation of the country. The more small businesses we have, the more the country can survive. You create jobs, you create a lot of things that the country wants to see. So the tax law, if you understand tax law this way, it's to enforce you to do certain things. You will shine with taxes. You won't hate it as much anymore. You
Mm.
won't be afraid of the IRS, who is their job is to enforce the law. They don't put the law, they enforce it. So Congress, they put the law. So you need to understand why is taxes there? Technically, it's really like to enforce some certainty. I did not practice any taxes in Syria, but this is taxes everywhere.
Mm.
They want to enforce something. They want to fund the government. So you just have to understand the law, work with the professionals, because if you are taxpayer or business owner, anything that you're doing, um, if it's not your job, you won't be able to keep up. You won't be able, you won't have the experience. So even if you're using all these like programs, whether it's TurboTax or anything else, if you're not working with a professional, 100% you're hurting yourself, you're overpaying in your taxes, or you're doing things that you're not supposed to do because you don't have enough knowledge.
Or when you come to knowledge, when you are dealing with a beginner, for instance, somebody come to the United States and he want to kind of file taxes, he doesn't know how. What are the tips do you give to that person?
First thing, like make sure you work with a professional. Make sure you understand if you are an employee, so make sure you talk to your human resources to understand everything um, that you won't have question. There's no stupid question, just ask every question. Um, you're not expected to know much, but you will learn as you go. Attend those informational seminars, attend YouTube's, listen to the radios, watch TV on these matters. It might sound like gibberish, you don't understand anything in the beginning, but as you listen more, learn more, you will start to understand. And you're not expected to learn everything because you are not the expert unless you want to take that route and learn to practice. But as long as you know the basics, that's good enough to help you choose the right tax professional, to help you make the decisions when you talk to the tax professional. And I want them to understand, like when you hire someone to do your taxes, it doesn't mean they're gonna give you the strategies because you hired them to do your taxes. So they're not gonna do everything. If you want them to help you with tax planning, that's another service. If you want them to help you with, if you're a business owner and you want to do make sure your financials are straight, you want to hire them for bookkeeping. So different services has different things, different. So you want to make sure, like you want to make sure you understand what you signed up for and what is that you are getting in return of what you are paying. But familiarizing yourself always help so you can you can ask the right questions. And a lot of tax professionals now talking, you know, they have podcasts, they have YouTube. I do have YouTube for myself that talks a lot about taxes and about businesses. One thing that I want to make sure like everyone knows, don't expect don't expect things that you don't expect the right information from the wrong people. So if there is if there is a business owner saying, hey, you have to be an S corp if you started a business, you have to this is how you can save taxes. This is why we see now a lot of S corps, which is like some of them, they don't, a lot of them, they don't have to be an S corp. They don't understand what's behind the scene. Don't listen to those people. And even with us tax professional, when we talk about something and talk about the strategy and talk about a way to save, it doesn't mean this is an advice. This is not a tax advice for you because every taxpayer, every situation is different than the other situation. So not one size fits all. Everyone really is a unique story, as a unique application. This is why, for example, if someone comes to me and says, "Oh, Noura, can we start an S corp?" I'm like, let's analyze that. I ask them a lot of questions, and then if it's not the right choice, I tell them, okay, let's start with an LLC or C corp. It depends on the type of the business, and then we'll take it from there. Or let's do an analysis, a tax planning analysis to see which one's going to benefit you more, which one's going to cost you more. So this is what the process we need to go with everyone. So don't try to just jump into the things to save money. It will end up costing you a lot more money than what you think. Like you try to save like few thousand or few hundred, then you're gonna have to pay tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars later.
I see. I'm going to be more specific and come up with a few examples because
Sure.
there is different ways of coming to you and asking for your help. For instance, if I am only a worker, I work for a company and I get my salary every 2 weeks. I get paid, and I don't have no business. I'm not involved in other activities. If I
Mhm.
come to you, what are the basics advice can you give to me as a individual?
So if you're coming to me to do your taxes,
Mm,
I'll just make sure like we got the information, we got everything. I would ask you what's your goal. If we have a one-to-one call, to talk, like I would, if you're paying a lot of taxes, even if not when you are doing your taxes, like you have to pay taxes, you wanna pay attention to that withholding, the IRS withholding, the the state withholding. You're paying your taxes there. So that when you get the refund, this is your money coming back to you. So I would make sure. So some people like that refund. A lot of people do, because they feel the government like keeping their money and then they return it to them. But the ideal situation is really not to have anything, not to get anything back, and not to get not to have to pay anything. So you want to consult with an accountant before you start filling that W-2 or W-4 form to see if how much you want to withhold to make sure you are in that bracket. So you want to play with $1,000, like up and down, not more than that. So you don't get more than $1,000. You don't have to pay more than $1,000. So, and a lot of time I ask people, okay, like having a business will really help your tax liability, will help you keep money in your pockets, but you have to start the business the right way. So even if you have a hobby, have anything, so but not you maybe you want to start see how can you make money through this. And that's going to help you with your tax strategy and get you more money as well. And that's going to benefit the economy. So this is not illegal, this is legal, and they want you to do this because they want more money coming to the economy. More people have more money, more people to purchase from other people. It's going to benefit the country overall. So this is what I would do. Like if they're asking for help, some people they just want to like do my taxes and all, but we do dig very deep in the questions. We want to make sure like to have um all the documentation. For example, like I would say if you went to a tax professional and you just give them your paper and they didn't ask you any question, they didn't ask you for supporting documentation, this is your first year and they didn't ask you for your ID, for your social security card, if they didn't ask you, if they didn't run your taxes over for you to review and sign, run away.
I
Run
see.
away. There's a lot of these. Like people are coming to me now, like, I don't know if my tax professional filed my taxes because I didn't see it. Really.
Mm,
It really, like this is not supposed to happen. So they have to send it to you to review and sign. You are as responsible as the tax professional for your accurate taxes. And also, if the tax professional is not asking you about supporting documentation, this is dangerous because in case the tax professional get audited, the audit will be ugly for the tax professional and for their clients.
I see.
So you wanna be patient
Mm.
and yeah, I know you hate this time of the year, you maybe hate taxes, you hate paperwork, but just do this because this is gonna protect you, protect the tax professional, protect other clients that they have.
I see. Um, let's take another example. We know many immigrants that come to this country. They want to work for themselves,
Mm.
and sometimes they are taxi drivers and individuals. And what kind of advice can you give it to them because they are self-employed? What is the difference between an individual who work for a company and a person who can call himself self-employed?
So self-employed, most of the time they either have an LLC or they don't. They just doing that extra job and 1099. whether like an Uber driver or anything that they're doing the service, anything they do. So you are a business owner, whether you have a business or not. So even if they call you self-employed, you're a business owner. So make sure you never file taxes on your own. Make sure you choose their tax professional carefully and don't go cheap with that. Because if you are price checking or oh okay, I can't, oh that's expensive, you're gonna pay at the end because you're not gonna get the money that you deserve back or whatever. You're gonna like you or you get the wrong tax returns for somehow. So make sure you keep all your receipts, make sure you record everything. Um, if you are in the level that to do bookkeeping, bookkeeping is a requirement. So it's a compliance work, it's not a luxury. A lot of people don't understand bookkeeping. You're not expected to understand it, but it's not your bank statement. It's not the Excel sheet that you keep your expenses and revenue. This is very simple cash in, cash out. This is not the bookkeeping. But like in some cases, it's good to start with this at least. Keep your receipt, keep your record, keep if you're driving for work, keep of course for your business, keep the record of the mileage, keep the receipts for your expenses on the car. Make sure if you're doing work from home, make sure you keep an area that designated for work so you can get home office deduction and a lot more of that and that. So it's a wide word there, but you want to make sure you work with a professional. You want to make sure you keep the records. You have that paper trail. You have that accountability. Don't miss anything. If you go eat with someone for businesses purposes, make sure to keep that receipt, record like what's the purpose of that? Is it like to maybe like introduce your business or to plan for your business or whatever is that the purpose? Who's that person you had the meal with and how much you paid? Like that would be obviously in the receipt. So you want to keep all of that and don't expect that you take those paper trail for your accountant to help you unless you're doing a bookkeeping, then she can help you with those paper trail. But if she's just doing your taxes, you want to at least have that on Excel sheet, has the numbers. So if, for example, on my end, if the person is not doing bookkeeping with me, I would give them a spreadsheet to fill in on they are responsible for these numbers. So they will fill in. I will not do the bookkeeping for them. So unless they ask for the service, I always recommend it. But if they don't want to have it, they don't want to pay for it, then I'll give them a spreadsheet. That's not the best way to do it, but this is a work around until they can work with um, to do the bookkeeping. Now, you might think you cannot afford it, but you really can if you organize your finances. This is going to help you organize your financing. It's going to help you make sure not overspend with anything that you shouldn't, making sure like you're paying yourself as a business owner the right way because every business structure has a way to pay the owner. Not every business structure you can pay yourself the same way. For example, if an LLC, if you are not registered, you can just withdraw money, but if you are an S corp, you have to put yourself on a salary before you can withdraw any money. Another thing that came to my mind speaking about taking money from the business, this is number one rule: do not commingle. Meaning, you do even if you don't have a business registered, have a separate bank account that you can spend and have the income of your business to it directly. So it's when you do the taxes, when you do want to do bookkeeping, it's much easier. And if you have an LLC already registered, that's gonna help you keep the corporate veil. So you're not legally you're not legally asked to. Let's say like you are sued for some reason, they're not gonna take your house. They're gonna oh, okay, understand. This is a separate for business and this is for yourself. But if you commingle, if you don't, if you sometimes like you spend in personal, sometimes you take from your personal spend on business and you don't do bookkeeping, you lose that. So there's no reason to have that LLC anymore.
You see. Um, Listening to your expertise and advice, uh, the idea I have is very important in United States, at least to have a small business, because that may help you um, earn, keep your hard-earned money in many ways through taxes. But can you take us to the process on how to create a business?
Sure. So technically, don't use those online services because you don't get the advice on there. So
Mm.
you technically, so I would say always use a professional. So we do offer this service here at Norris Books, and a lot of other accountants they do offer it. We do work with a third party that big also, but we know what's the best way to create your business for to reach the goal that you want to reach. So first you would register in the state and don't go on the states that Delaware and all these things. No, if you live there, okay. So start register in the state that you are in because you're gonna operate the business in that state. So start the business. You register with the state. There would be a state fee. Every state is different. Let's say for Illinois, for example, it's 150 to start the business. After you register with the business with the state, then you have to get your EIN number, which is the employer identification number from the IRS. That is the tax ID or the social security of your business. And then after that, you can take it, open a bank account for your business and just take the state registration and the EIN. Now, if you need to have an S corp, then there's a form that you file. Like sometimes if you're doing it online with a service, they make you check all of these things, and then now you you have an S corp. They do the same process. They do the form that you have to file to elect to be an S corp. But as I said, like I don't recommend that you do it because you have to put yourself on a payroll when you do it.
Mm.
You have to wait and see what's going on, talk to a professional to have to make sure like you get the right advice. And maybe you want to talk to more than one professional because some people I've heard from a lot of clients, their tax professional like advise them with the S corp. And if you look at them, like they shouldn't be an S corp because they can't even afford to pay payroll taxes and putting themselves on a payroll. So so this is technically it's very easy. I think it's one of the easiest country or the easiest country. I'm not sure about other countries, but I hear like it's very easy to actually start a business in the US. But keeping it the right way, keeping it compliance, keeping up with everything you need a business owner, the business pillar, having the accounting side, the compliance side, the taxes, and then the marketing, the everything that you need to have a successful business. This is what differentiates someone from another. A lot of people don't think long term. They think, oh, okay, I just want to day to day. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to strategize. You're gonna stay small in business. You're gonna burn yourself out. So you have to plan long term if you want to retire comfortably, like with a business that you either sell or have it run on its own without needing you anymore, so you can continue get the benefit you're getting now. Otherwise, once you stop working, if you take a vacation, if you're sick one day, you don't have income.
I see. But as you emphasize, you should file your LLC in the state where you live. In Illinois, for instance, where should I go file my LLC?
So everything is online now. So you can go to the Secretary of State's
Okay.
website and
Mm.
start the business. They check the name, like to see it's available. You fill in the application and you start it. You pay the fees, and then after that you go to the IRS website. It's a kind of easy but long process. But a lot of people don't feel comfortable filing it on their own because, oh, what if I miss that or if I miss this? They filed the wrong form. So there's a lot of forms there. So you want to make sure you're filing the right thing. You also need a registered agent so you can you can keep up with any legal thing, they can be responsible to receive that.
Between individuals and business, as you emphasize it, that separation is needed. When you are an individual and if you have a business, you have to do everything you can to separate them.
Mhm.
I'm mm, asking my question related to that. Um, what are the advantages you can get as a business owner when you come to taxes?
So you get a lot of deductions. So the separation first, when you register an LLC, you are
Mm.
legally protecting your individual, like your personal belonging, your house, your car, everything. No one can go after them. So if you keep the separation, keep that protection, you will get that legal protection. You will get so not an attorney. You want to consult with an attorney, of course, but this is what it's meant to have to be like because IRS do not recognize LLC. You file the taxes of the LLC within your tax personal tax return. So, and then you will get a lot of deductions. So, for example, you're using your car for business, you get the deduction. You either deduct the mileage rate or you deduct the expenses. Any penny you spend for your business that is deductible. You get a tax service for your business that is deductible. So it lower your taxable income. Therefore, it will lower your tax liability.
Mm, I see. Um, some people may say, well, I'm not interested in creating a business. I'm not into the money making. I just want to help people. And um, consequence to that, they decide to create a no-profit organization. Does a no-profit organization is views in the same way than business when it comes to the taxes?
It's totally different. It has more work to do. It has more compliance
Okay.
work to keep up with it. So you want to understand, like, being a nonprofit, it doesn't mean that you're not going to make money. You're going to make money. You're going to ask for money. You are going to make sure you do your taxes every year, even if you did not have any activities similar for the business. But in terms of nonprofit, if you do not, so even the registration process is a little longer. So after you register with the state, you get the EIN, and then you have an application for being an exempt organization. The benefit of getting that is you're gonna be eligible for a grant, not automatically, but this is the first step. And you will be able to provide for the taxpayers a tax break. So if you have a nonprofit, you have a tax exemption and I want to donate to you. I can claim that deduction, claim that donation on my tax return, and I get tax credits. I get tax break. So this is the benefit for the taxpayer. So there's a lot of compliance work, a lot of things that you need to do as a nonprofit. Now, you can pay yourself if you are the director or if you're doing a service that different than the board member, you can get paid for that. But a lot of people don't recognize that. They feel they have to do everything for free. They feel they have to get everything for free. So they would ask, oh, would you donate your service? First of all, no one can donate your service. Services are not donatable, if this is the
Mm.
word. So you can donate cash or you can donate in-kind donation. You can donate like whatever, like in-kind donation things that, like materialistic things, but you cannot donate services. So people are asking for this. Well, no, you have to invest in your nonprofit. To register a nonprofit is it's much
Complicated.
expensive and complicated, and you need to keep a lot of paperwork, and you won't be able to be qualified for grants right away. You have to prepare yourself. If you have to have bookkeeping. You have to make sure you are doing the right thing with your money if you want to get those big donations or big grants. Otherwise, you will not be able to do anything. You're better supporting other organizations. That's why actually I wrote my book, How to Start, Manage, and Prosper with a Nonprofit. It's a very small book available on Amazon. I
Okay,
did that book just because I noticed a lot of people, they want to do good, they want to help people, and they end up like draining themselves, putting themselves in trouble. Because you know what? If you do not file on time, you will be faced by not only revocation of the tax exempt status, but also with penalties. I've seen a lot of nonprofits faced with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars penalties just because they did not file their taxes.
I see. Um, with the emergence of innovations, we have many tax companies online. For instance, Turbo and other tax agencies. Many people may say, I may, go through, and often they advertise they will provide you free service and all of that. And they may question, why don't I go to them then to go and consult a tax expert who will charge me more money? What advice are you going to give to a person who have that view?
I would tell them you get what you pay for.
Okay.
So that's to determine what type of service you would have.
Okay. This is a great answer, I can say. um, so, as you say, you pay what you, but in many cases, you have been around for a long time. You have been advising people on how to deal taxes. But in through your experience, what mistake usually you see people do when it comes to taxes?
So first mistake, they don't file their tax returns every year
Okay.
for businesses especially.
Mm.
So because the advice they get, if you don't have activities in your business, you don't have to file.
Okay.
They do have to file. Like it's not, so they apply the personal tax law on a business tax law.
Mm.
So, which is very different. If you don't make money during the year as a person, you don't have to file your taxes. But if you are a business owner, you have to file regardless.
Okay.
It's an informational return. Now, if you are an LLC, also, this is another mistake I see all the time. And unfortunately, a lot of tax professionals make this mistake. If you have a partnership, or an LLC, sorry, an LLC that is, and you have that not only a single member LLC, so you have a partner in that LLC, no matter who's that partner is, you have to file now a partnership return.
Mm.
So that is totally different than your LLC.
I see.
So a lot of people don't do that. And actually, they end up costing themselves a lot of money. Sometimes they even like have some expenses on that LLC. They did not file because they think they didn't have income. And also, don't file the correct way if they file. So they lose a lot of money this way. Even if, like, let me give you an example. I had a client, they came to me in the prior year, they went to other tax professional who actually was a CBA. And he's supposed to know, right? But he did not file the correct return. They ended up he told them not to file because they didn't make any money in the business. And then he filed, just their personal taxes. When they come to me, they get back to about 2,500. And when they came to me for the following year, they get back like 10,000 plus in return. And they were like, how did we get that? Like nothing changed from last year. And last year we only got 2,500. I was like, let me look at that last year. We usually look at the prior year just to see if there's a carryover or anything that we need to carry over for the current year. But we do study it and analyze it more if the client like want to see if they overpaid or not. So we ended up making an amendment. They got back more than $20,000 in return
Mm.
because they didn't file their partnership return. So we did file partnership return, then that changed their personal return. And there's a lot of things that he did not consider as well in their personal return. They end up getting like that additional $20,000 in addition to that 2,500 they got. So I see this all the time, all the time. Most new clients, they end up amending the prior year.
I see.
Mhm.
Often in our lives, as you emphasize it, there is when we talk about taxes, there is a fear, there is a mystery.
Mhm.
I want to be in troubles here and things. However, we receive text messages, we receive calls, we receive sometimes emails threatening us with sanctions because we owe money to IRS and all those kind of stuff. And most of them are scam. What advice can you give to newcomers who
Mhm.
don't know what's going on and sometimes are so afraid of receiving those kind of emails or telephone call or voicemails?
Sure. So first of all, IRS will never call you, never text you, will never threaten you. They're not there to threaten you. They want their money. They will tell you that they need your money. How? With only communication through a mail. Like you will receive it in your mailbox. And even
Okay,
with that, you can see some scams. So you want to make sure this is coming from the IRS. If you are not sure, you can always call the IRS, not the number on the letter, the IRS, they have a
website.
phone number, or you can talk to a tax professional to verify this is a legit letter. I have a lot of my friends like, oh, Noura, can you look at this? Like, is this legit? I'm like, no, I see IRS letters all the time. This
Mm,
does not look like one of them. So you want to make sure to, if you're not sure, to consult with someone, but never reply to phone calls, never reply to text messages because that's a scam. Another thing to know what's going on in your taxes, create an IRS account. If you go to irs.gov, create an online account so you can always be updated, so you can log in, see if there's anything, and always consult with the tax professional. Like if I want to do something with marketing, I cannot keep up with marketing. I always go to someone who can help me with that. Same thing with taxes and accounting. You want to go with someone who knows and he sees this type of things all the time to say, like anyone can, can tell you if this is tax, if this is the IRS letter or not.
I see.
Mhm.
So another question I may ask is, um, when you live in America, what actions can you take not to be entangled with IRS? What should you do in your daily life, to make sure you are in norm with that institution?
So you want to make sure you file your taxes every year.
Okay.
Sometimes so if you're making the standard deduction, which is changes every year. So for last year, it was $14,600. For example, you have to file taxes when you reach that. Like so after if you exceed that amount of money. Now, for the state, it's different. So sometimes, yeah, you are not required to file your taxes in a IRS level. That doesn't mean you shouldn't. You can always file taxes. You can get money back most likely if you're qualified for some of your deduction. You still can file your your federal tax return, but you most of the time you get some credits. Now, in the state level, you want to see the requirements on the state level, and a lot of people don't know this. For example, we are in Illinois. In Illinois, the standard deduction is a lot lower. So it's less than $3,000. I don't have the exact number. It's not a straight number. Just
Mm.
so it's less than $3,000. So if you make that money, you have to file with the state. And in order to file with the state, you have to file with federal. So you still have to file your taxes.
I
So
see.
a lot of people don't know that. So know the state law, know the standard deduction for the year. Always file like every year. It's better for you. You report every income, even if you're getting paid by cash, it's reportable. You have to report that income. So just because you're getting paid by cash, it doesn't mean that you do not have to file it. So IRS expects you to file every single penny you get. Now, not every penny is taxable. So people confuse all the time. Okay, whatever I have to report, then I'm gonna get taxed on. No, you won't. There is difference between your gross income and your taxable income. And usually like the first 14,600 for if we're talking about 2024 is deductible. And like I said, like every year they increase that number for inflation. So that's the thing you want to pay attention to. If you started a business, make sure you file every year as well, and make sure you get a tax professional or an accountant to help you with at least the setup, to help you with anything that you might need, even if you do not sign up for a bookkeeping service or something else like that regular service, at least sign up for advisory service or take a consultation like every once in a while, just to make sure you are in compliance. And also, if you, for example, open the store, because a lot of immigrants also love to open a store, you want to check with the city, state, and county that you are in it to make sure you have everything. There's a lot of requirement, a lot of compliance stuff you need to pay attention to for the industry that you are in. Also, you want to see if there is anything important that you need to know. So always, like, it's very important to check with a tax
Yes.
professional
Mm.
that offer the services.
I see. What are the age requirements when you come to paying taxes? Is it there a age?
Oh, so anyone who makes money has to file taxes.
I see.
Sometimes,
Mm.
sometimes our kids, like they start working, they're not in that standard deduction bucket yet, but they can still file their taxes. They are dependent. They can file with their parents, but then they can file their own taxes as well, just so they can get the refund if they have any refund or meet any requirements. But there's no age thing. Anyone who makes money needs to pay taxes.
When you come to fear, as you emphasize it in the early on in our conversation, you did have fears when you come to taxes.
Mm.
Um, and I believe in some ways you overcome those fears. And today you provide expertise to people on how to handle taxes. What lesson did you learn on tackling fears, and what advice can you give to young people or to new immigrants that have fears related to other sphere on how to overcome their fears and do what they think is right?
Sure. So knowledge always
Mm,
tells you, oh, okay, I know it, so I'm not fearful of it. So always seek knowledge,
mm,
always consult with the professional who is expert in any field. And for example, if you're getting a lot of people get afraid from the from the IRS letters,
mm,
so they don't open it. No, open that letter. and
Mm.
deal with it. Face your fears. So open it and understand what it is. Consult with a tax professional. Don't try to reply on your own because most of the time when people start replying on their own, they don't know the tax law, they don't know how to talk to the agency. So they put themselves in the more problems. So always consult with a professional, but don't fear. Like I said, like learn more, listen to podcasts on taxes, listen to YouTube, like read about it. Maybe you don't want to read about it because it's it's heavy topic, but like if you listen to someone who you would like to listen from, but make sure they are tax expert, not like just business owners who tried something and you think you can apply the same thing to yourself. So make sure when you apply things, just you consult for your own case, but always learn. So education and knowledge is really the key to fight any fear.
So basically, is seeking knowledge and taking actions
Mhm.
on those knowledge. Um, when somebody need help and they want to reach out to Miss Nora for help, how can they contact you?
First, they can always go to my website, nourasbooks.com/contact, and
Okay.
there they can book a Zoom call totally free. So
Mhm.
we can have a conversation, and then we'll see if if they need more help. This conversation always helps. So it's there on the website. I'll be happy to help anyone who needs help.
Are you only operating virtually or you have a main domicile office? Mm.
So right now, it's a virtual firm. I
Mm.
work with people nationwide, even like people who has tax requirements, but they are overseas or anywhere around the globe. Like we work with people around the world. So yeah, like it's virtual right now. We have a plan maybe this year to have an area so we can do like live workshops and more, but that's not here yet, but soon. Yeah.
Miss Nora, again, I would like to say thank you very much for sharing your time and sharing your knowledge. And I believe the people who have the chance to listen and see this video may learn a lot about the secret world of taxes. Again, thank you very much for giving us your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I enjoy talking to you and I'm happy to help.
All right, take care and have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye bye.